All right, here we go. I believe we left off at 28. Is that correct? Is that right? Okay, so on 28, simply trying to identify the range of y equals the absolute value of x. So understanding the range, all right, you'd have to understand the graph. And if you recall, the absolute value of x is just a v. All right. And in this case, the vertex is at the what? Yes, it is at the origin. All right. So the vertex is 0, 0. So if that's what we're being said, what would be the domain if I ask you for the domain? Yes, all reals. Thank you for whoever said that. Negative infinity, infinity is one way of describing that. Remember, all real numbers can be that symbol. That's all real numbers. All right. But what in fact is the range? Yes. All right. So in this case, the range is talking about the y values. So the y values are greater than or equal to 0. Anybody have any issues with that? All right. So now we have kind of an in behavior discussion. All right, y equals x squared. So if you would mind, everybody should understand the general shape of x squared, which I think we all do. And of course, we all know that it's simply a parabola or a quadratic. So in this case, as x gets small, what does y do? Getting big. So A looks correct so far. As x gets big, what does y do? Gets big. So correct answer is what? Correct answer is A. All right. Anybody have any questions with that? All right. Everybody comfortable with the notation? All right. That's good news. All right. Finding the y-intercept. What's true when you find the y-intercept? X equals 0. So in this case, the y-intercept would be what? -1. Calculating the vertex. How do I find the vertex? Exactly. I need everybody to be able to tell me -b/2a. That's how you calculate the x coordinate of the vertex. And just to make sure you're hearing me, that is also referred to as the axis of symmetry. All right, that's the axis symmetry, -b/2a. So in this case, it would be what? 12/4, which is 3. So we know it's not A or C. And then to find the y value, simply plug 3 in for x. So y equals 6. Anybody have any issue with that? Correct answer is D. Everybody good? Any issues? All right. Now here, 32, something that is important. All right. So I'd like to review this just to make sure. All right. Does everybody agree this is a parabola that opens up? Now again, I know, listen, part of it, you have a calculator, so it's not really that big of a deal. All right. If you needed to, you can just type it on your calculator, look, and find what the range is. Does everybody agree with that? All right. But let's go about it technically. All right. We know that it's a parabola that opens up. So it's going to look something like this. So basically, I need to find what? I need to find the vertex. Because the vertex is the lowest y value. Everybody agree? So let's calculate the vertex. So again, you would just simply say x equals -b/2a. So x is equal to 2/2. So that is what? 1. So if I plug 1 in, what's the y value? So 1 comma negative 16 is the vertex. So because we know that 1 negative 16 is the vertex, that means the lowest point on the graph is what? Negative 16. So we know that it has to be greater than or equal to negative 16. Now, I really would like someone to ask me a question if you're not understanding what I just did. That's really important. All right, anybody have any issues with that? Okay, now we have just what is the axis of symmetry. So again, we've already discussed that, negative b over 2a, which is just 36 over negative 6, right? So we end up with x equals negative 6. Everybody okay with that? All right, here we go. The graph of negative 2x squares opens what? It opens down. So if it opens down, that creates a what? Maximum. Easy as that. Yes, sir.
So it opens down because it's a negative.
When a is less than 0, you with me? It opens down. When a is less than 0, it opens down. All right. Yes.
How do you know if it's a maximum or a minimum?
So you have to understand what the graph looks like. Do you see if it opens down, it looks like this? Do you agree? So is the vertex the highest or the lowest? So that's a maximum. If I did this, is the vertex the highest or the lowest? The lowest. That is correct. Everybody okay with that? Does that make sense now, Reed?
Yeah.
All right, listen, guys, I know it's extremely hot in here and uncomfortable. I appreciate you guys letting me get through this, and then we'll move in the gym in a few minutes. All right, as soon as we get through this, it's much cooler in there. All right, so I appreciate it. But listen, this is important to me also. All right, so if you're not understanding something, sitting there is not helping. All right, ask me anything. All right, I know you have a calculator. I really don't want you just using your calculator. I want you to understand what you're doing. So if you don't know something, I can't help you unless you speak up. All right, here we go. The related graph of the quadratic equation is shown below. Use the graph to determine the solutions of the equation. What is a solution? Say it again. What point on what line? Solutions are the zeros. And what is a zero? It's a fancy word for saying when y equals 0. So what happens when y equals 0? It's the x-intercepts. So the x-intercepts are the solutions. The x-intercepts are the solutions. So here's an x-intercept and here's an x-intercept. 2 and what? 2 and negative 3. 2 and negative 3. I'm happy with that. Anybody else have any issues? So again, if you forgot that, all right, that is again super important for your understanding. The quadratic function x squared has how many zeros? Now, listen, again, really, there's something called the fundamental theorem of algebra, which just says the degrees is the number of zeros. So it looks like it has how many zeros? 2. But it's a what? It's a double root. Thank you very much. All right. So because it's a double root, there's exactly what? 1 real zero. And that real zero is called a what? It's called a double root because it occurs how many times? Twice. All right. So those of you guys who put 2 zeros, I'm happy. All right, any other time, not any other time, but most of the time, the answer would be what? 2 zeros. All right. So keep that in mind. Does everybody understand what I just said? Yes.
So why would it be 2 zeros?
It would be 2 zeros if it looked like that. Right? All right, you'll learn much more about this next year also. All right, but right now I wanted you to understand x squared. All right, if you set that equal to 0, 0 is the only 0. All right. All right, so another vertex problem. What's the vertex? X equals -12 over -6, which is 2, correct? So now I know it's not C or D. All right, now, do I really have to find the Y value? No, because 2, 3 is the same point. All right, so now does it pass through 0, 1 or 1, 0? And how do I know it's automatically B without doing any work? Anybody tell me? Because remember, 0C must be the what? The y-intercept. And this one is telling me that the y-intercept is 1. But we know the y-intercept is what? -9. All right. So again, that's not a big deal, but it's just helpful if you know that. All right. Yes.
How'd you get the -12?
Remember, very important. X equals -b over 2a is the x coordinate of the vertex, which is also the axis of symmetry. Yes, sir. Good.
If you didn't know like the 0C, how would you?
I would literally plug 0 in for X and see what the answer is. You with me on that? Again, if all else fails, right, and all you care about is making a good grade, you could just do what with this equation? Type it in on your calculator and look at it. All right. I prefer that you don't do that, obviously. Right? Yes. Okay, so you must know that the y-intercept of a quadratic is always 0, C. So in this case, the y-intercept is 0, -9. Right here, they're telling me that the y-intercept is 1. Right or not right?
Yeah.
Now, just to keep in mind, y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. You understand that now? That's how I know C, that's what I'm referring to when I say C. And do you see how 0, 1 is the y-intercept?
Yeah.
But it's not in our problem.
Yeah.
So that's not the answer. All right, hopefully that was a good explanation. Okay, solving by factoring. Does anybody need help with that? Tell me what the answer is. Square root property. Right, because this factors to a perfect square. So that's just x plus 4 squared equals 25. Is everybody happy with that? And then just a quick review, x plus 4 would equal plus or minus 5. So x is equal to -4 plus or minus 5. All right. Everybody confident with that? Yes.
Number 38 for factor.
So you want me to help you factor again?
Yeah, I was thinking it was A. 'Cause
Okay, so maybe I'm wrong. All right, so let's do the factoring real quick for you. And then the factors of 10 that make 3 are 5 and 2, right?
Yeah.
Now, this is where most people make the mistake because they just look here and here, right?
Yeah.
Instead of setting them equal to 0. You agree with that?
Stuff.
Right? You good? Now, does everybody also understand you could literally type that in, y equals, look at the graph, and where it crosses the x-axis, that is what? That's the answers. All right, those are the answers. The answers to a quadratic are where it crosses the x-axis. Find the value of C that makes it a perfect square. What am I doing? How do I know it's 25? Because to make it a perfect square, it was always half and square the middle term. Half and squaring the middle term is how you complete the square. For those of you guys who forgot that little rule, half and square the middle term. The middle term is what? 10. All right. So with that, what am I doing? What step would it be? A, B, C, or D? D. Why though? Because half of 6 is, and then square is, so you're adding 9 to both sides. That creates a perfect square. X squared plus 6x plus 9 equals 1 plus 9. X plus 3 squared equals 10. X plus 3 equals plus or minus the square root of 10. So the answer would have been -3 plus or minus the square root of 10. Hopefully you agree with that. All right. But that was just the step. I think that's kind of nice. You don't have to solve it. Just know the step. All right. Quadratic formula. X equals -b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Anybody have a problem with that? Anybody need help? What's the answer, guys? Somebody said D. Everybody good? All right. So is this shaded above or below? So it's a less than, right? So it's not A, it's not, it's not A. Now, remember, it's a solid line, so it's equal to, less than or equal to, less than or equal to, less than or equal to. The vertex is what? -1, 4. So let's review. Y equals A parentheses X minus H squared plus K. So this would be what? X plus 1 squared plus 4. And we know it opens down, so we know it's going to have to be a negative. So help me, which one is it? B. All right, everybody good with that? Everybody good? All right, we're on a roll. Here we go. Yeah, 44, I'm pretty comfortable with you guys understanding all the properties for exponents. So this should go pretty quickly for us. So help me with 44. What's the answer? C. Somebody saying C? Anybody disagreeing? Anybody need help? What? All right, good for you. So let's figure out. Anything to the 0 power is what?
1.
So that's literally just 3 squared. 3 squared is 9. 9 times 2x to the 4th. 18x to the 4th. All you guys who were suffering, telling me the answer was C, you are officially wrong. Thank you, William. Come on, guys, we can't be wrong now. That's why I'm saying speak up if it's not correct. If you don't get the right answer, you didn't get the same answer, you might be right. Everyone else could be wrong. Anybody have any problems with 44? All right, let's check out 45. Somebody help me with 45. William, I'm gonna go with you.
Well, I thought the answer was wrong. I thought it was-
What is it?
It would be A, but it'd be where.
So, oh, I may have made a typo on my solutions. What is it?
I just put A.
Oh, yeah. Switch that out. I need to, I'll fix that. That's for, that's Y to the 4th, right? Oh, yeah, because I'm looking at Z. Yeah, thank you. So it's Y to the 3rd. Yeah, thank you, guys. Fix that. Yeah, she's awful.
Does she do everything?
She's new. I go through one a week. All right, everybody's good now with 45 being A, once we make that correction. All right, fix. Okay. All right, I don't feel like multiplying all that out, so someone please tell me. What? Somebody said B. Everybody good with that? Now, you know, I could go through all of the, I mean, believe it or not, these are on the SAT. It's kind of silly. But look, do you see how easy this is? 3x to the fourth times x to the cube or times x cubed is 3x to the seventh, right? So right off the bat, we know it's not D and we know it's not A. And then 4x squared times -1 is -4x squared. Right? So this is a positive 4x squared. So the only answer was B. All right, help me out with 47, guys. That one's really easy. C. 48. D, are we good? Simplifying, 49. Beautiful. All right, does anybody need help on the long division? Which we don't really have to do long division, but yes. Over what? Yeah, so remember, if we do, now I wouldn't even do this long division. I would do synthetic division, right? It's even easier. -5, 1, -2, -35. Bring down the 1, -5, -7, 35, 0. X minus 7. You agreed? Yes.
So is there ever a time when you can't use synthetic?
Yeah, if this is not linear. But you're gonna do more of it a lot next year, and they'll go into more details. All right. But for us, I'm just doing the basics. You with me on that now? All right, and last one, 50. Yeah, remember what goes in the box is the 0. So x equals 2. So it can't be A or C. 1, -4, 7. 1, -4, 7. So we bring down the 1, 2, -2. Uh-oh. That should be -4, right? Yeah, so D. Everybody happy with that? All right, so yeah, okay, Brady. We'll finish up probably the next, I don't know how many problems there are, but we'll just do another 25 or 30 tomorrow, possibly finish up tomorrow. But again, the air is out in our room, so we're now going to move over to the gym. All right, I'm just going to let the class finish there. All right.
Okay.
All right, I'll see you tomorrow, buddy. Hope you're doing well.
All right. See you.
Brady, do you have COVID?
No.